I welcome you all to this day three of the 3 day workshop. The topic of the workshop, as we all know, is the prevention and detection of occupational frauds. We have our speaker with us, Ms. Shefali Saluja, and she'll again be continuing with today's session of the third day of the workshop. So I'll just give you a brief introduction about yesterday's session. We talked about the entire scam of Harshad Mehta's case in detail. We talked about the different types of frauds, and then we also got to know what exactly is narcissist personality disorder. Ma'am explained each of these things very, very intently and in a very detailed manner. So she'll be continuing today again with her workshop. So I welcome you again today, ma'am. Please take over.
Thank you very much, Meghali. And I always quote that. Thank you with this beautiful smile that, you welcome each one of us. Thank you. And hello, participants. How are you today, everyone?
Good, ma'am. How are you?
What about you? Good. I'm absolutely fine. And somebody just said me good afternoon, Sheenu. Thank you. So how's the day going so far? On Sunday, I know I have dragged you in the workshop. I totally understand, but I think it is worth attending.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so in today's session, we are going to cover the three broad topics. We will first be talking about the recent scandal that has happened, which is the Yes Bank scandal. I will discuss the case study in a very short, in a brief manner to you so that you understand what exactly was the case. Second, we will understand about the red flags of fraud. What are the red flags that the companies detect in an organization? And then we will talk about some of the preventive measures of fraud detection. Okay, and we will also be covering some case study. I won't say case study, but some detailed information about the whistleblowers in India. So what happened that they became whistleblowers, and after becoming whistleblowers, was there any threat, or were they killed, or were they harassed, or were they listened? So we will discuss a little more about whistleblowing as the most preventive tool in organizations to combat financial frauds. Okay, so I hope the objective is clear for the day.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
perfect. So I will just share. Yeah, thank you. So I'll share the presentation with all of you. And for today's session, I would just request each one of you to please pay attention to the presentation, because there is a lot of content in the presentation today. I will definitely be explaining each presentation in detail, but there is a lot of content on the PPT itself. Okay, so we will start with the case, which is the Yes Bank fraud case. So as we all are aware, I believe we all are aware, and we read newspaper, that today Yes Bank is considered to be, a fraudulent banking example after Punjab National Bank. So what happened in this particular scenario was Rana Kapoor, who was the former Yes Bank managing director and executive officer also, he used the position and the power of his role to conduct some illegal activities and created a financial fraud for himself. For himself, I am saying, is because he's the only person who's been convicted of that. So for himself and his family, his daughter is also in the loop. So what happened? Kapoor's regime basically was to promote the poor credit and compliance culture, centralized power. There was a lack of institutional ethics. Everything came into the question when he was arrested on March 8 in connection with the illegalities that he has done in Yes Bank. So how did the loan book of Yes Bank jump from rupees 55,633 crore in March 2014 to rupees 2.41 lakh crores in March 2019? And when I was not the Prime Minister is being said by our very own Prime Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman. So she says, what exactly happened that there was so much of illegality that had happened? There was so much of misuse of the power that had happened. So this particular individual, the CEO, Kapoor, he has been accepting illegal gratification while granting loans, and money was diverted through these companies. Now, these companies are the ones which I've highlighted in yellow. and in the blue highlighter. So Anil Ambani Group, SL Group, DHFL, ILNFS, and Vodafone. These are the companies. And Nirmala Sitharaman actually mentioned these companies, and she said that I wouldn't even mind taking their names because they were the ones who were violating the customer's privacy. And these are some of those very stressed corporates to whom Yes Bank has been exposed. So what Kapoor used to do was Kapoor used to lend loans to these people with illegal gratification. When I say illegal gratification, I talk about the first type of fraud, which was asset misappropriation, and second, corruption. So Rana, he perpetrated the entire scam by firstly taking money out of Yes Bank under the garb of debentures and loans, by abusing his position in the bank, and then he used to receive kickbacks, which is bribery, for the same. So he used to provide loans to these companies, and then what happened? When there was excessive amount of money which was taken out from Yes Bank, and then the loan book of Yes Bank jumped from rupees 55,000 to 2.41 lakh crores in March 2019. This was the reason why Kapoor was arrested and the scam was exposed in April 2018. The highlights of the scam was exposed in 18, but now in 19 and 20, the entire scam is out. So what happened in the end? SBI is the only national bank which has been granted the plea to handle the issues that Yes Bank has created. So what RBI did recently is RBI snapped a memorandum to Yes Bank and said that everything will be co-opted by SBI to rescue the mess that Yes Bank has created. So you understand how a private institution, and again a senior management with all the red flags that we discussed yesterday, was improper use of the power, feeling the living beyond means, creating lifestyle, and using a company's information, or I would say monetary factors, to improve his personal well-being. So again, this is the recent case now after Punjab National Bank that we encountered in 2020 is the Yes Bank fraud case. So I have a question from all of you here. So what do you think? Are we losing faith in banking system in India? What do you guys think?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, when these scams come out in the picture, like we've encountered Punjab National Bank fraud case, Nirav Modi's case, and then now this is the case where we are looking up somebody who was an executive, a CEO, or I would say the managing director, committing such kind of crime. So do you think ethical dilemma is being floated to the entire employee culture also?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
you
Yes,
feel,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
you feel the ethical culture is in a question mark. Auditing has been questioned here. Internal controls have been questioned here. Somebody who might have whistleblowed about this case is questioned, that if something is going wrong in your organization, definitely some people are aware of it. Some red flags are definitely there. So the point of discussing this case today with you is that now we will try to identify what are the red flags that, when you join in an organization, you can see that, if this is happening, then this is a red flag. And I think being an ethical employee in the organization, I should go ahead and I should whistleblow it. So again, jumping on to the ethics questionnaire. Now, this is a very basic exercise that we will do. Now, I want all of you to please pick a paper and a pen with you. I give you 2-3 minutes to do that. And then come back and please confirm me so that we will play this very quick exercise. Just pick a paper and a pen and then confirm me once you're done. Okay, done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll wait for another, I think 40 seconds. Let everyone be here.
ma'am.
Okay. So what you have to do is I will read these questions. I am not going to ask you the result. You have to completely assess yourself that how ethical are you. Okay. And in case there are questions which are related to an employee or it is related to organization, so just imagine or assume that you are working in an organization, and if something like this would happen, a situation like this would happen, what would you do? So directions for this particular exercise is that for each of the following example, indicate whether or not you feel that there is an ethical issue. You have to use the following scale to rank your answers. If you feel definitely not, please mark yourself as 1. Probably not is the 2. Maybe, which is not sure, probably, and definitely. Okay. So first question is, if anyone wants to share it also, that whatever you mark, we can discuss that also. Okay, so first question is, you claim deductions on your income taxes that are not valid. So will you definitely do that? Will you probably do that? Maybe or not sure? Probably not, definitely not. So marked yourself?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Second, you use your computer at work to shop online and plan vacations. Okay, done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, be honest to yourself, because I'm not going to, ask you to answer it, but you have to be very honest. Okay, you tell a potential buyer of your used car. Okay, now this can be something which I think as students also you can answer. You tell a potential buyer of your used car that it is in excellent condition, but in reality the car needs repairs.
Probably.
Probably, very good. So if you ask me this question, I think I probably would have done that.
I too.
Okay. Point 4. You download music and videos for free off the internet.
Definitely.
Definitely. So a lot of people would agree with the definite part here. Okay. You give a store clerk ₹10 for a purchase, receive the change of ₹20, and then you keep the extra money in your pocket.
Definitely not.
Okay. So who's answering here?
Amar Prem.
Okay. So pardon. Can you please repeat your name?
Amar Prem.
Amar Prem.
Yes.
Okay. The girl who was answering, please tell me your name.
Ma'am Shikha.
Yeah, I could now recognize your voice, Shikha. I was about to say, was it Shikha? Okay. Next, you download safety programs and information for free off the internet.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely, ma'am.
Okay. So is it again Amar and Shikha answering, or anybody else? Please take your name and answer, okay? Because I'll be writing the names of the students who are participating.
Avi
Ma'am
Gupta.
Nilanjana. Nilanjana.
Nilanjana and Avi, right?
Avi.
Saloni.
Saloni, you're also there. Saloni, your full name?
Saloni Agarwal.
All right.
Ma'am, my full name Nilanjana Maiti.
All right.
Ma'am, my full name is Namantaneja.
Namantaneja. All right, perfect. Okay, so we have another set of questions now. These are work examples. So just assume if you're not working right now, there might be some participants who are working or interning. So you preserve an injury record by reclassifying the injury so it is not recordable. Okay. Second, you share on the information you've been asked to share, not what you know. How many of you are okay to share this answer?
Really not.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Done. Okay, so you fill a vacant position in your department with someone you handpick rather than positioning the position for all the employees to see.
Probably.
Probably.
Probably, ma'am.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Last, you make copies of safety materials that are copyright protected and distribute them in a meeting.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Never, ma'am. Never.
Very good. Okay. So now that you have all the answers with you, then you can mark yourself and you can totally, get the exact answer, and you can question yourself whether you definitely are ethical or you are in between being ethical and non-ethical. And somebody who has all the answers as unethical, then there is a question, because you definitely need to improve while you have to work in organizations and in personal life as well. Okay, so anybody now who has a daring heart to do this online 5 minutes ethics quiz with me?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
just
ma'am.
ask the question.
Yes.
Very fun game. We will do it online here. Anyone?
Yeah, Amar.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Definitely.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, done. So we start with Aman here, and then we can also have one more. It's a very basic ethics test. Okay, Aman, I read the question and you answer me, okay? You wake up one morning with the flu. Would you stay at home and rest? Stay at home and work? Go to work but avoid socializing with people? Go to work but socialize only with the people you don't like?
No, stay at home and work.
Stay at home and work. Okay.
Stay at home and
Ma'am,
work.
stay at home and work.
Okay, we do one by one. So we will do the ethical test for Aman, and then I can have one more volunteer.
Ma'am,
So somebody who-
Nilanjana Maite.
Abhi.
Okay,
Ma'am,
done.
Aditya Roy.
Okay, perfect. So what we will do is, all of you who want to take part in this ethical quiz, Meghali, I need your help here. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these guys, okay, one by one, quickly drop your names on the chat box. Meghali, please pick the names and do a little, like while I'm performing this test, just pick one random person, but not cheating.
Okay, sure.
Done? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Aman, can I click on the next button?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'll call out a name just randomly to you, right? Whenever you want to,
Yeah.
you want an answer to the question.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Done.
So you're having breakfast in a crowded restaurant, and over here, two colleagues discussing confidential information about a client. They mention the client by name. So would you mind your own business? Talk with your colleagues about the matter and leave it at that. Report your colleagues to the supervisor. Secretly record them with your cell phone, video camera, and post the clip on YouTube.
Mind your own business.
Okay. So you can take 10 seconds and then answer. No need to hurry, okay? Now here, you take your, okay, so you have to imagine that you have a child here, okay? So you take your 12-year-old son to the local multiplex to see the latest blockbuster. Now at the box office, you see a sign that says children up to 11, $6, adults, $11. So what would you do? Ask for one adult and one child ticket? Ask for two adult tickets? Give your son $6 and have him ask for a ticket? Buy two adult tickets, watch the film you paid for, then sneak into another auditorium and watch another for free.
Wait a minute, ma'am. I need
Take
to
10
read the
seconds.
question.
Take 10 seconds. Think about it.
Abhi,
No. It's Aman who's answering first, so let him complete, okay?
Wait, ma'am. Let me see the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Take your time.
No, ask for two adult tickets, ma'am. I will note this small things.
Done. So you will ask for two adult tickets. Done. Okay, now you're having a romantic dinner and order an expensive bottle of wine as part of the festivities. When the check arrives, you notice that the wine hasn't been included in the bill. So would you tell the waiter about the oversight? Keep it to yourself, but leave a larger tip than you were planning to. Keep it to yourself and leave your standard tip. Use some of the money you've saved to donate to your favorite charity. Take 10 seconds.
Keep it to yourself, but leave a little tip then.
Okay. This one, right? Fourth one?
No, second one.
Second one. Okay. Done. So we have the last question here. While driving you to lunch, your friend wipes out her smartphone and starts checking her email. Would you ask her to stop doing that? Ignore it? Tell her to pull over and let you out? Grab her phone and toss it out of the window?
Stop doing that.
Okay, so you will ask her to stop doing that. Now, before showing the result, we will conduct another test. Yes, Meghali, who's doing it?
Yes, just 1 second.
Ma'am, my name is Amar.
Yes, Amar, sorry. Okay,
Amar, not Aman.
okay, done.
Ma'am, Anvesha?
All right,
Anvesha,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Anvesha Roy. Done. Okay, Anvesha. So first question. You wake up one morning
Yes,
with the
ma'am.
flu. Would you stay at home and rest, stay at home and work, go to work, but avoid socializing with people, go to work, but socialize only with the people you don't like? Yeah, Anvesha, are you there?
Sorry, ma'am. I have just lost my connection. Sorry, ma'am.
It's no problem. Are you back now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now will you answer the first question?
Yes, ma'am. I think I'll stay at home and work.
Okay.
Just for flu, na. So I'll work. Yeah.
Okay, done. Next question. Same question, that you're having breakfast in a crowded restaurant and over here, two colleagues discussing confidential information about a client. They mention the client by name. So would you mind your own business? Talk with your colleagues about the matter and leave it at that. Report your colleagues to the supervisor. Secretly record them with your cell phone, video camera, and post the clip on YouTube.
I think I'll mind my own business.
Okay. Done. Same question. So you take your 12-year-old son to the local multiplex to see a latest blockbuster. At the box office, you see a sign that says children up to 11. $6, adults $11. So what would you do?
Ask for 2 adult tickets.
Done. Okay. Again, next question. You're having a romantic dinner and order an expensive bottle of wine as part of the festivities. When the check arrives, you notice that the wine hasn't been included in the bill. Would you?
I think I'll tell the waiter about the oversight.
Okay, so you will inform them.
Yes.
Okay, last question. While driving you to lunch, your friend wipes out her smartphone and starts checking her email. Would you?
If I'll have an option, then I'll ignore it.
Okay, done. So Amar, पहले आपके results देखें. Okay, done. So I'll do this too. Okay, so your ethics IQ says you are a guy, the ethics guy says you have just passed. So you have scored 2 out of 5. Now, why 2 out of 5? There is also an explanation. So you wake up in the morning with the flu, would you stay at home and work? Okay, so ethically, you should stay at home and rest. Why? Because this flu is contagious and potentially deadly, as you go to work when you're sick. So basically, the ethical obligation to prevent harm to others and to treat ourselves with compassion require that we stay home and we rest while we have the flu. Probably when you are staying at work, or even if you're working, you might not get fined, or you might not feel good about it, or you might not be okay tomorrow, and then it might cause you to take an off the next day also. So that is the reason, ethically, if you're not feeling well, and you should definitely stay at home and rest. But yes, this question can be at an emergency places where you have to complete the work and you have to deliver it off, then definitely you can stay at home and work. So partially correct and not correct. Okay. Now you're having breakfast in a crowded restaurant, and over here 2 colleagues. So ethically, what happens? You should not mind your own business, but definitely you should go ahead, talk to the colleagues about the matter and leave it at that. Just tell them, just whistle it off. You see this? Now it is written here also, the situation is such a time. Most likely your colleagues aren't doing this intentionally, but your client's right to the privacy and reputation of your company may both be damaged. So unless the policy where you work requires you to inform a supervisor, then definitely, however, blowing the whistle isn't the right thing to do this at the first offense. So definitely you should go ahead and you should speak to your colleagues and just tell them that we are at a place which is an open area and it's a crowded restaurant. So if we are taking names, I think ethically it is not correct. So I also feel that if certain information or certain policy creates the client's name to be confidential, then it has to be. I'll give you my own example here. So you would agree with me in this 3 days workshop, if I had to give you an example, I always used the word as company A, company B, person A, person B. Even if when I was giving you life examples, real life examples, I used it as client A, client B. So even if when I have left the organization, I still follow the confidentiality of the client. Okay, do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So this is absolutely correct. You were
ma'am.
you were completely ethical here. Now here, I think if there is some mismatch in the check, we should definitely go ahead and be little ethical and just tell the waiter that there was an oversight. You have not charged me for the bottle of wine, and I think it is good if you can speak up and do not run away from that, because you've just seen a major red flag here. So it's better to just inform and pay for whatever we have used. Okay, and the 5th one is absolutely correct. So you just passed with, I can give you this as an option where I can say that this might be a condition when you have to do some urgent work. So definitely it is 3 out of 5. Amar, is that okay? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we have Amar Prem here? Okay, I think maybe there's some
Yes,
connection
ma'am.
error. Okay, you're there. Perfect.
Yes.
So Amar, you are 3 out of 5, but not bad. You were completely very honest, and I think there's always a scope for us to learn, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right. Perfect. Good. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Great. All right. Now we move on to the similar set of questions, and the similar answers were given. So this I again give Anvesha, I give a point here. So it's 3 out of 5. This again, now that you understand that you should definitely go and talk to your colleagues about it. This was completely correct. This was completely correct. But here, I think you are sitting, while driving you to the lunch, I mean, you're sitting with your friend. What if something bad happens? So ethically, if you feel that she's using her phone, which she's not supposed to do, so you can just tell her, and she's a friend. That's why you've gone for, a lunch. So it is mentioned here, she's not somebody,
Yes.
just an acquaintance. She's your friend. So I think we can definitely talk to our friend about it, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Perfect. All right.
Okay,
Done.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
So a little quiz game here on what we face in our daily lives as ethical conduct. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, yesterday we covered about the fraudsters demographic and what exactly is in the mind of a fraudster. So today, if you remember, yesterday we did talk about that why people and how people rationalize their fraud. I mean, when they've committed something wrong or when they've committed something which is not appropriate, they rationalize it. I mean, they justify it by saying that ho gaya to kya, right? So let's see how people rationalize a fraud. So there's a quick video which I want to play. So please confirm me if you're able to hear it, okay? Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am, it's audible.
Perfect.
Yes, ma'am, it's audible.
If you ask people whether they think stealing is wrong, most of them would answer yes. And yet, in 2013, organizations all over the world lost an estimated total of $3.7 trillion to fraud, which includes crimes like embezzlement, pyramid schemes, and false insurance claims. This wasn't just the work of a few bad apples. The truth is that many people are susceptible not only to the temptation to commit fraud, but to convincing themselves that they've done nothing wrong. So why does fraud happen? While individual motivations may differ from case to case, the fraud triangle, a model developed by criminologist Donald Cressy, shows three conditions that make fraud likely: pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. Pressure is often what motivates someone to engage in fraud to begin with. It could be a personal debt, an addiction, an earnings quota, a sudden job loss, or an illness in the family. As for opportunity, many people in both public and private sectors have access to tools that enable them to commit and conceal fraud: corporate credit cards, internal company data, or control over the budget. The combination of pressure and being exposed to such opportunities on a daily basis can create a strong temptation. But even with these two elements, most fraud still requires rationalization. Many fraudsters are first-time offenders.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Ma'am, you're muted.
Ma'am, we can't hear anything. Are you there?
Hello, ma'am.
Can any member from the technical team kindly take, ma'am?
or control create a strong temptation. But even with these two elements, most fraud still requires rationalization. Many fraudsters are first-time offenders, so in order to commit an act most would regard as wrong, they need to justify it to themselves. Some feel entitled to the money because they are underpaid and overworked, and others believe their fraud is victimless, perhaps even planning to return the money once their crisis is resolved. Some of the most common types of fraud don't even register as such to the perpetrator. Examples include employees fudging timesheets or expense reports, taxpayers failing to report cash earnings, or service providers overbilling insurance companies. Though these may seem small and can sometimes only involve hundreds of dollars, they all contribute to the big picture. And then there's fraud on a massive scale. In 2003, Italian dairy food giant Parmalat went bankrupt after it was found to have fabricated a $4 billion bank account and falsified financial statements to hide the fact that its subsidiaries had been losing money. Because it was family controlled, corporate governance and regulator supervision were difficult, and the company likely hoped that the losses could be recouped before anyone found out. And it's not just corporate greed. Governments and nonprofits are also susceptible to fraud. During her time as city comptroller for Dixon, Illinois, Rita Crundwell embezzled over $53 million. Rita was one of the country's leading quarter horse breeders and winner of 52 world championships, but the cost of maintaining the herd ran to $200,000 per month. Because her position gave her complete control over city finances, she was easily able to divert money to an account she used for private expenses, and the scheme went unnoticed for 20 years. It is believed that Cromwell felt entitled to a lavish lifestyle based on her position and the notoriety her winnings brought to the city. It's tempting to think of fraud as a victimless crime because corporations and civic institutions aren't people. But fraud harms real people in virtually every case. The employees of Parmalat who lost their jobs, the citizens of Dixon whose taxes subsidized horse breeding, the customers of companies which raised their prices to offset losses. Sometimes the effects are obvious and devastating, like when Bernie Madoff caused thousands of people to lose their life savings. But often they're subtle and not easy to untangle, yet someone, somewhere, is left holding the bill.
All right. So the intention that I played this particular video was that I have explained you the fraud triangle in detail, like while in discussions and with examples. So I feel once we see a video, we tend to have more clarity on a particular subject or a topic. So I hope this video was clear to all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Perfect. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we had talked about internet banking, we've talked about banking, technology, and other related industries. But today, digitalization, and we had a discussion yesterday about how digital technology is now, completely taking over the places of people working from home, and we are shifting ourselves to the digital acceptance. So around 65% of the total fraud cases reported by banks were technology related frauds. And if you see the examples that I mentioned, so the first type of a fraud is a triangulation or a site cloning, which means customers enter their card details on fraudulent shopping sites. Second type of fraud that was most commonly found was hacking. Hackers and fraudsters obtained unauthorized access to the card management platform of a banking system. Third is a type which is an online fraud, where the card information is stolen at the time of an online transaction. Another set of fraud which was reported is the lost or stolen card. I think this is something which we have been facing in the past also. ATM fraud is also a very common technological fraud that happens. Dumpster diving. Now, this is something interesting. Employees who aren't careful when throwing away papers containing sensitive information. So this is again one red flag. So tomorrow, guys, you will be entering into organizations, and please make sure when you have to completely discard a particular official document, so there is always an official bin which is created in organization to discard the official information. So do not just throw away papers containing sensitive information. You know, there have been instances while I was working with Ernst & Young, and while we audited one of the client, that particular client reported that, the signature that the client had made on the bank receipt were copied, and somebody else was using a complete set of information somewhere outside India. So the entire identity was stolen. So whenever you go to banks, you know, sometimes the bank authorities are so much in a hurry. You would agree with me, guys. Please pay attention on this. Whenever you go to a government office, you go to a private office or any other related, information, please do not give your signatures on a blank form. Never do that. Even if when you are in super hurry, do not do that. Please fill the form and then do your signature so that you are aware in which column, your signature has been done. Do you agree with me here? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, sometimes you would feel that, you had gone to open a debit card account, but suddenly there is a credit card issued on your name also. So who gave that information to bank? Who signed that particular authority that you also want a credit card? Do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So that is a dumpster diving. Next is a computer virus. Definitely this we all are aware about. With every click on the internet, a company's system are open to the risk of being infected with various software, and it is set up to harvest information from the company server. So this is again one type of technological fraud which was common. So these were the 7 types of technological frauds which are very much common today in the present scenario. So you all need to take care while you deal with all these factors in future and today also. Now, then the last segment here is the role of ethics in business. So when I say role of ethics in business, I believe there is always an ethical conduct or an unethical conduct. So ethical conduct we will discuss in the next slide. Unethical conduct would be appearing for any kind of forging the documents, which is accounting fraud. Decepting advertisement, which means that you are using information which is not correct. Unfair competitive practices, you are not letting your colleagues or your peers go ahead because you are forging the documents for them. Internet theft, when companies are, or when employees who are working in the organization create some false identification and then do not let colleagues work together. So this is some kind of an ethical conduct, examples of an unethical conduct. Ethical conduct here always refer to building trust in teams. Tomorrow when you sit and you work in teams, you should always believe in teamwork. You should never feel that, if a task is given to 2 people, then the reward should also be shared with the 2 people. And if the work is not done correctly, then definitely it has to be shared with the same 2 people. Promotes confidence. If you are ethical enough, if you feel that you will not do something wrong in your life, you always promote confidence in you and amongst others also. Last is you validate your relationships. You always, whenever you join organizations, make sure of one thing: hard work will always pay off. Always pay off, but hard work in an ethical way will pay off. If you do smart work and it is not ethical, then it will never pay you off. So learn how to recognize and resolve ethical issues ethically and not unethically. Agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, according to the National Business Ethics Survey, so NBES is the organization which every year conducts an ethical survey in organizations. So according to NBES, employees in organizations with written standards of conduct are more likely to report misconduct when they observe it. I'll give a clarity here, and I repeat the statement: employees in organization with written standards of conduct. I'll give you a very basic tip here. Tomorrow when you join your organizations, or some of you who have already joined in an organization, always go and check the code of conduct, ethical policy of your organization. go through the entire document very carefully and try to maintain the ethical conduct. Because generally what happens when you join the organizations, the HR is definitely going to give you your banking account form. HR is going to explain you what other departments are doing. HR will brief you about how the company is operating. Then you will have your induction process in which your managers will come and they will discuss everything with you. But what happens is, what is important, organizations should definitely also conduct one session on the ethical policy, on the code of conduct, on due diligence, so that when a new joinee joins the organization, he or she is aware if they see any misconduct, whom should they report? Agree with me, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So tomorrow when you join organizations, I recommend each one of you to please go ahead and ask your HR to provide you the ethical code of conduct policy, so that you are aware that if you see something inappropriate, whom you should report to. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, the very important factor is whistleblowing. That's why I said who to report to. Whistleblowing is what? It is the act of an employee exposing an employer's wrongdoing to outsiders such as the media or government regulatory agency. This can also be internal whistleblowing, wherein I feel that one of my colleagues who's working with me in a team is leaking the information or maybe is doing insider trading. So if I'm working in an organization like Ernst & Young, or if I'm working with Big Four or even XYZ organization, I have to make sure that I am working in an environment which is not creating insider trading or insider information. So whistleblowing is something where you report something which is not usual, something which is not appropriate, something which is wrongdoing, something which is very, is creating a question in your mind that what is it? Why is this person doing it? Now, if I show you where India ranks in Corruption Perception Index, India ranked 80th in Corruption Perception Index as per Transparency International. We rank 80. This scale is 0 to 9 frequencies, showing the highly corrupted countries, and the more you move towards the yellow bar, 90 to 100, it shows very clean countries. So if you see this particular chart, which is the cleanest country in corruption? Tell me. Rank 1.
Denmark.
Denmark. And then rank, yes, absolutely. And which is the highest corrupted?
Somalia.
All right, perfect. So we lie somewhere, India lies somewhere at the 80th position in the Corruption Perception Index. So this is something which I wanted to show you so that you are aware where your country is perhaps, lying in terms of corruption. Okay, now we will study about some of the fraud detection that you can use as a technique while you sit in organization using behavioral traits. So data mining is the first fraud detection technique. It is a technique used by many industries for functions such as credit cards approvals, bankruptcy predictions, and the analysis of share market. And data analysis can address control gaps that often exist in ERP systems. Have you ever seen that there is a huge amount of OTP transactions which are there now in your cell phones, on your email IDs? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is where the customer,
Yes,
so that is where the customer has been given a privacy control software through data mining, so that now the information cannot be exploited by fraudsters. Second is defining human behaviors with data. This is very exciting, guys. I'm going to show you a very exciting example after this. Social media sites such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat collect volumes of data on human behaviors and consumption preferences. I'll share a very, very, very funny example. I won't say funny, but it's a very amazing example also in the next slide related to social media, that how social media identified a fraudster in a company. Third is employee behavior as a fraud detection tool. Now see this example. An employee who is consistently online from 8:15 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. and then logs in again at 12:30 p.m., logs off at 4:30 p.m. This data, when collected over time, creates an expected working schedule for an employee. अब इससे मुझे पता लगता है somebody XYZ employee, he or she logs in at 8:15, 11:30 तक काम करते हैं, उसके बाद दोबारा log in करते हैं 12:30 and then log off कर देते हैं 4:30. This is normal casual behavior. Now, when the username is used to log in a system at 2 a.m. at night, the data analytics program will detect that this is an unusual activity. Do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, employee behavior is a very, very interesting fraud detection tool. Last, vendor and customer behavior as fraud detection tool. Combating vendor fraud includes careful procedures that ensure due diligence when setting up a vendor, instituting segregation of duties and data mining techniques. Now tell me one thing, if one of you, for example, is sitting at a position for 15 years, will you have hold on the data and system? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So if there is no segregation of duties, that means that you have the power since 15 years to know the loopholes also, right? So that is the reason the fraud detection tip or a technique can be doing job rotations and segregation of duties, which means there should always be a rotation to jobs. Now, I'll share an example again with you. Punjab National Bank fraud case. How was the fraud case exposed? Does anybody know about it? How was the case exposed? It was a whistleblower who exposed the case. I'll tell you. The person who used to clear the letter of credits, fake letter of credits of Nirav Modi, that particular person was sitting in that job role for almost 30 years in organization. And that is the reason he could create a forge. But what happened? He was at a retirement stage and there was a new employee who was hired to sit at that particular position. When he logged in the system, he was amazed to see the transactions which were not real, and hence he reported the fraud out in the market. So now do you see job rotation and segregation of duties as a detection tool?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So again, this is something which are the very famous fraud detection techniques through behavioral traits. This is the example that I want to show you. Use of social media to detect the fraud. Now this woman, she loses sick leave benefits for depression, and thanks to Facebook pictures, okay, she took it off from the organization stating that she was depressed and she struggled with depression and took a medical leave early in 2008 from her job, and she was working in IBM as a technician. Now, soon after she became, she was receiving the monthly disability benefits from her insurer, this particular organization created a social media termination check. Now, when there was a social media check that happened, the companies today are increasing social media to check the profile of all the applicants. Now, what happened? Once they checked the Facebook pictures, they could see her photographs showing her flocking away at a beach and hanging out at a pub to determine that she was depression-free and able to work. So this is how this particular woman was convicted of, taking false sick leaves from the organization. So isn't this interesting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So again, this is also a red flag. Although the organization who was ensuring her, Manulife also said that we would not deny or terminate a valid claim solely based on the information published on websites such as Facebook, but we have discovered a red flag. So now we will look into the matter. They never said that we will terminate her. They said now that we have found a red flag, we will work on it. So again, a red flag detection through social media. A lot of companies are doing. You would also agree with me that there is always a reference check which is given by companies once they recruit you. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Yes, so that reference check is again an indicator, a flag that companies predict on an employee to hire that particular employee, right? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the exhibited behavioral red flags as per Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, that a lot of frauds that happen are because of these red flags. Number one, people who have been living beyond their means. People who have lifestyle changes. Suddenly, from a Maruti Suzuki turning onto a BMW, there is something fishy. Financial difficulties, again, one of the red flag. Very close or unusual association with the customers and vendors. Control issues, or they are not willing to share the duties. Family problems, addiction problems, refusal to take vacations. You would see some employees, they do not want to take vacation. That is a red flag. Why doesn't the employee want to take vacation? Excessive pressure within the organization, so the individual becomes irritated all the time at work. Social isolation, the person doesn't want to talk to anyone in the team. Now, these are the red flags. I am sharing one by one so that tomorrow when you sit in the organizations, if you see some red flag like this, please be very cautious. Complaining about the lack of authority. You would see employees always bitching about their bosses. There is something wrong here. Why there is something wrong? There is always an agitation to be on the top. Some past legal problems. Instability in life circumstances. So these are the perpetual, red flags that you can see in an employee and detect that something is going wrong. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so this is again the chart. So seven key warning signs by ACFE says 85% of all the fraudster displayed behavioral red flags. 42% people were living beyond their means. 26% of people faced financial difficulties. 19% people, they usually have very unusual close association with vendors and customers. 15% of the people have control issues or they're unwilling to share the duties. 13% people have been found irritable, suspicious, or defensive when asked about a particular task. 13% of people have wheeler-dealer attitude. Wheeler-dealer attitude is when you do not want to talk about what you're doing. Divorce or family problems. Now, if you see this particular, table underneath the 7 warning signals, it shows that a fraudster living beyond his or her means is the most common red flag. आप ये बात से agree करेंगे कि सबसे पहले lifestyle ही change होता है. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
Yes, so that is the first key warning signal. All right. Now, 8 best tips which I can give you tomorrow if you join organizations or you have your own businesses, and organizations should first install an anonymous hotline system, which means if I feel that something is going wrong in my organization, without even taking my identity, without even disclosing my identity to people, there should be an anonymous hotline where I could just go and anonymously report about something. There should be surprise audits in organization. Tomorrow, if you join the organizations, you can suggest these tips to your company. I mean, I'm sure the organizations would love if you contribute. Run your employees' addresses against the address file of your vendors. Sometimes, this is a very important point, guys. Sometimes your employees are relatives of the vendors. Would you agree, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So here again, there is a possibility of something going wrong. Do background checks on employee handling the money. Vendor applications should be required, reviewed in accounts payable or somewhere outside the department. Last but not the least, employees should have an eyeball test when it comes to reviewing the data. This particular technique, an eyeball test, is a very, very, very secure and a very, very, very effective practice which organizations should follow. Sometimes you would agree with me, anybody who's lying would roll their eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, an eyeball test with employees would work as a tip to organizations. Whistleblowing, I've discussed this with you, but I'll show you some examples here. Now, this particular person, have you heard about the Madoff scandal? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. In the video that we played today, it mentioned about the Madoff's biggest scandal that happened due to asset misappropriation. Now, this person, Harry Mark Polos, this particular person blew the entire whistle on the Bernard's Madoff Ponzi scheme. But trust me, guys, this particular person, his pleas were ignored. No one took him seriously. He stood wrong in the eyes of everyone when he whistleblowed the particular incident. But later on, when the company realized, they featured him. They completely featured him, and they really applauded him, rewarded him. But initially, his pleas were ignored. Nobody was taking him seriously. So this is one example where whistleblowers were not heard. Second example, Satyendra Dubey. This particular individual from India, he was the project director at National Highways Authority of India. You've heard about NHAI, I'm sure everyone would have.
Yes, ma'am.
This particular person found some financial irregularities in a government project. He sent an anonymous letter to the PMO with a separate CV attached, telling the PM that how many contracts have been forged. But this person, what happened in the end? He requested the PM not to reveal his identity. But in India, this has happened. The letter was forwarded along with the CV to Minister of Road Transport and Highways. This person was shot dead in Gaya. And this case, surprisingly, I'll share this also with you. His story was highlighted in the final episode of Satyamev Jayate. Satyendra Dubey.
He was an IAS officer, no?
Yes, he was a whistleblower, and he said, "Don't take my name," but he was shot, and the government did. So past mistakes, which I'm telling you. So sometimes that's why I said anonymous hotline system should be there in organizations. And today organizations do have anonymous hotline systems. This individual, Subramanian Swamy, he, again, amongst others, wrote 5 letters to Manmohan Singh seeking permission to prosecute Andi Muthuraja in regard to the 2G spectrum case. He told the government that there is something which is going wrong. But here, a good example. Government actually applauded him and really rewarded him for taking this action. Today, he is the founder and chairperson of the Action Committee Against Corruption in India, which is ACACI. Again, somebody who whistleblowed the entire scandal. Sucheta Dalal, this you all know after Harshad Mehta case, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. She joined the newspaper Times of India as a journalist in Mumbai, and then she exposed not just one scam. She exposed Harshad Mehta, Enron scandal, IDBI scandal, and Ketan Parekh scandal. This organization, she has her own website. You can visit her website and see the work that she's done. It's commendable. Now, last but not the least, while developing a reporting mechanism for whistleblower, it should be safe. It must be available. Report any behavior which is inappropriate. Take it seriously. It should be anonymous. No retaliation against them. Fraud policy should be explained with red flags. What to do if individual suspects fraud must be clear. This is when a company is hiring an employee they should follow. They should tell people that what is our whistleblowing policy. Do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Perfect. A 3-point plan and a last slide, which I believe in the entire workshop is education to fraud is important. Investigate the behavior is important, and taking a proactive prevention is very, very important. So 3-day workshop, the first day we did education, the second day we did investigation, and the third day today we learned about proactive prevention. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
All right. So I stop the presentation here. I do have a lot of material. Might be when we extend such workshops, I might, request Financial Yaari we can have another session on just discussing scams in India. So that could be an interesting workshop. If you guys would like to have it, you can always recommend that, some workshop where we are only discussing scandals that had happened in India. Okay. So I hope the workshop was clearly stated and ended with meeting all the objectives, and we've discussed about each and every perspective in detail.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And it was also very informative.
Very
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Really well. Very nice. Okay, so there was one question with which was given to me by Sandeep, that the question was related to NPAs. So the question was how NPAs in banks can be avoided or detected at early stage. Somebody did question this. If you're okay taking your name, I'll answer this question. Okay. So I got a question from one of the participants stating if you could discuss what are the red flags of NPA. So what I feel is, what is NPA basically? What is it? An NPA is a non-performing asset. So it happens when there is a loan or there is an advance which is not settled in an organization, or this is a particular state where there is a termination, or people are not investing money properly. They're not able to repay their loans. They're not able to repay to their installments. The bills have not been, the discounted bills have not been repaid or cleared. This is where NPA happens. Now, the signals of NPA that I feel are, I've written it down, I've jotted down, which you can create in a banking system. The flags can be delay in submission of installments. Any particular client who has delay in submission of installments should be detected at a very first stage. Second I've written is the return of a check or letter of credit or any part of discounted bill or cash. There should not be any instance where there is a poor performance in the portfolio, which is seen. If you flag it at a very early stage, it can be protected. Also, the preventive measures which the banks can take is one, this particular transaction, which is considered to be as a poor performance, while they report it, there should be a complete internal control mechanism that should be followed by surprise audits. Second, there should be screening of all the accounts of the clients that have been dealt with NPA or they are leading to NPA. Third, I feel accounts with temporary deficiencies should be looked after. So this is the answer to the question that to how NPAs in banks can be avoided. I hope I have answered the question, and let us have Meghali now, and we could just close our 3-day workshop.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So that brings us to the end of this 3-day workshop. I'll thank you again, ma'am, for this wonderful 3 days of learning and unlearning. So today we discussed about many things. I'll give you all a brief. Initially, we started with the Yes Bank scam. We discussed that in detail. Then we also had a short ethical quiz. Then we also had the internet banking related frauds, and all the red flags were also discussed. So I think I just summed up today's session. So ma'am, you said that you wanted to have a shout out for the ones who were very participative, right?
Yes. So definitely I am going to name all, first of all, a big thanks to each one of you to be part of the workshop, but definitely a shout out is required. And I think it is from my side that I would like to applaud all these brilliant, most interactive participants in the class. So Avi Gupta, thank you for your amazing participation. Naman, thank you. Nilanjana, you've been a very great participator. Shruti, Saloni, Hitesh, Abhishek, Meghali, again, of course, you as well. Shikha Sharma, Hussaif, Zahir, you all, thank you very much for, giving your complete contribution to the workshop. Today we had Amar Prem. Thank you for taking the quiz as well. Shikha Sharma again, Nilanjana again, Avi again, Saloni, Naman, and Avnesha Roy. Thank you guys. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you, ma'am.
so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. So I think we will meet again one day, right? And if you ever, I'll just say to you guys, if you ever get a chance to visit Chandigarh, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. You can always connect with me on only on the professional social media website, which is LinkedIn. I would appreciate if we could connect with each other. If you have further questions or if you want to discuss about a particular topic, we can definitely have a session.
Ma'am, also we will be very thankful if you arrange this type of workshop for any days we can join. Because I joined 3 days and it was so informative and interesting also, and you told about each and everything, so all of them are so in detail, so we understood and many informations were there we didn't know about that, and that are clear to us now. I'm sure. At least for me, it is so clear. Thank you so much.
Nilanjana. Thank you.
Hello.
And I think it's a big thank to Financial Yaari here. So I'm sure that whenever we connect again, so Financial Yaari is definitely going to ping you any notification about the workshop. And I think keep attending the workshops. I mean, they are giving a very great platform to you students. And definitely once you connect with me on LinkedIn, I take other workshops also, so you can be part of those workshops also. All right. Yes, Amar, you wanted to say
Hello, ma'am.
something?
I have a question regarding something else. A little bit
Yes, please.
related to a well-known government NTPC.
Mhm.
Yeah, like in my area, in Bihar, and in the Jharkhand is very famous for the coals. Like they have built in 30 years back, have built power plants, one thermal power plant. For take coals from our area, they have built one railway track, and they have acquired 2 acres of my own land and like many lands from the farmers. And it was on a lease, because in Jharkhand you cannot land for some sellable land.
Mhm.
Okay, and they took a lease, all completed the last year only.
Mhm.
Like we should this is the time to get the payment again
Okay.
for the another lease. But no one in my village, no one in my area taking any kind of action. Like what should we do to get money or the land back?
Right. Okay. So I understood, but I feel that we can discuss this in detail. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll share my contact information with you, and we'll talk about this on call, because since it's an issue that you have raised, which you are dealing with personally, so I would like to just talk more in detail about it. Would that be okay, Amar?
Yeah, ma'am. Sure.
Perfect. Done. All right. Any other closing remark from anybody?
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am. I'm audible.
Yes, Hitesh.
You talked about it in such a manner. You didn't like the days were over. You so
I'm
great in
so
important
okay.
you.
Hitesh, your voice is
Hitesh,
inaudible.
your voice
I'm
is
so sorry, we
cracking.
couldn't
Yes.
hear anything.
Sorry, ma'am, the network connection is poor.
No problem. No problem. No problem.
Wait,
Yes,
I'll
please.
try, ma'am.
Yeah, you're audible now. Yes. Okay. So any
I
other
just
close?
wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it was very knowledgeable session, and I feel very proud to be a part of this workshop.
Thank you so much, Shikha. Thank you. And I'm also equally proud
you.
that you were part of my workshop. Thank you. Yes, Hitesh, we can hear you now. Any closing remark? Okay, or you can just type on the chat box. We would be looking after it. Thank you, Nandita. Thank you, Hussein. Thank you very much. All right. Hitesh, once again, thank you. I mean, whatever you had to say in regards to the closing remark. Thank you, Abhishek. You can always give the feedback to us on, okay, so you've done it. we'll just read whatever. Thank you, Sukhneet. Ma'am, you imparted very great knowledge in very lucid manner. We were hooked every second. All right. Thank you very much, Hitesh. I would expect all of you to be in touch with me, and we'll keep interacting. We'll keep taking a lot of sessions. Okay. Over to you, Meghali. We can close it.
Yes, sure. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for the last time, ma'am. We had a great 3-day session. And just some important information for you all. Kindly fill your feedback form, and you all will be receiving an e-certification, like your participation certificate. And kindly share your experience on LinkedIn and tag Financial Yaari. And you can also tag ma'am. And you all can share your experience of these 3 days on LinkedIn. So I thank you all for joining in. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, all of you. And thank you, ma'am, for
Thank you,
everything.
Meghali. I'll see you soon in Chandigarh.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.